Good evening. Leading our news bulletin for tonight, the village council elections are now complete with the preliminary results released on Saturday. Results received from the Justice Department have indicated the successful candidates for the 5 village constituencies that went to the polls. In the village of Alofi North, there were 6 candidates. The successful candidates were Tuturi Heka, Alentano Puleosi, Sefeti Fatiaki, Rupina Marcy, and Pilana Liwanga Vakafi Mutufu. In the village of Makefu, the successful village councillors are Darren Tahovaka, Ataena Poihanga, Salome Guest, Saimone Tongia, and Marianne Talangi. For the village of Tuapa, Halafo Mokale, Poka Sionetama, Mona Inu, Kulupai Kihele, and Melena Misileki. Interesting enough, in the smaller villages, there were many names that were nominated for the 5 councillor positions. In Higutavake, there were 9 candidates. The successful 5 were James Salikiki, Mele Langalonga, Masini Holo Langalonga, Doreen Matakapea, and Martin Matakapea. In the village of Toi, where there were 8 candidates, the successful 5 were Sapati Tuhanga, Poini Vasalia Taufitu, Manongi Poihanga, Salapinga Tutakita, and Leslie Heck Ngataua. These positions will be for a term of 3 years, and we wish all the village councillors the best for the term ahead. Leaders of smaller island states met yesterday in Rarotonga with the desire for a more strategic position of SIS interests within the framework of the Pacific Plan as one of the issues high on the agenda, as well as the proposal to develop a program-based approach as the basis to seek additional funding for the Small Island States Development Fund. The membership of the Pacific Island Small Island States includes the Cook Islands, Kiribati, Nauru, Niue, Palau, the Federated States of Micronesia, and Tuvalu. The program-based approach around the SIS Development Fund would ensure the predictability of resources through multi-year funding arrangements to be channeled through the fund. Other issues that were on the table for discussion and consideration include the Small Island States special requirements and climate change financing, sub-regional transport services, including shipping and air services, the importance of trade policy frameworks in guiding trade negotiations and agreements, the tourism potential in the small island states, and the centrality of gender empowerment and equality in the achievement of national and regional outcomes. The global processes included commitments made in the Busan Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation, which calls for a more inclusive and transparent global partnership in the delivery, management, and monitoring of development efforts. The other global processes, the Rio Plus 20 conference, the outcomes of which bring sustainable development goals once again to the forefront of global attention, and calls for a more balanced integration of the economic, social, and environmental dimensions of sustainable development. The one-day SIS leaders meeting was chaired by the Prime Minister of the Cook Islands, Honourable Henry Puna. The Small Island State Leaders Meeting is the first in the series of meetings leading up to the 43rd Pacific Island Forum meeting, which officially opened today. We will bring you more on the developments from those meetings in our future news bulletin. Crop diversity as a means of building resilience to climate change is part of the focus of Trading Hub this week, organized by the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries with assistance from the SPC Center for Pacific Crops and Trees. Local farmers and representatives from various community stakeholders looked at how tissue culture could be used to increase food and nutritional security, also making notes of the importance of some of the traditional knowledge and crops on the island.
It's important because these are the crops that have proven merit. They've proven themselves over time to adapt to the changing climate and and conditions that Niue has experienced over the past. So we've always experienced cyclones, and there has been drought in the past, and these are the varieties that have proven themselves, and we want to maintain these varieties and use the traditional knowledge in safeguarding their future for any changes in climate that will happen in the coming years, and like I said, help build our levels of food security.
CPAC is dedicated to crop diversity and resilience to climate change by storing and conserving plants in a controlled environment in a gene bank of sorts that can be stored for safekeeping and sourced by countries if needed. CPAC research technician Saini Widuladula says that the desired outcome from the training is increased awareness amongst farmers for adaptability and sustainability.
Farmers to be more aware on the things that the Central Pacific CPAC has, and know that we have a different kind of varieties that will assist them now and for future. And a positive feedback on probably after they do their trial on the field, more positive feedback from the farmers that the crops that we are introducing are more climate ready on the land, and they are able to adapt. And for people to adapt to the new changes, because climate change is coming, it's just the people to adapt on the crops, on the weather, on what we can do. But we cannot combat climate change. Climate change is there. So what we're doing is introducing these new varieties for people to adapt. Niue has, this is one of the countries that we need to assist. Just trying to see if these new crops that come into the Center for Pacific Crops and Trees are able to adapt in this environment that we have. And it, in correlation with climate change that we are facing at the moment. So CPAC has come in with the introduction of crops to the Pacific Rim countries. Yeah.
With the assistance of the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, they hope to work on sustainable conservation and effective use of plant genetic resources. Niue has over 20 traditional varieties of taro that are stored at CPAC, but sharing of the traditional varieties are left to individual country arrangements.
Sharing of traditional varieties, and it has to be agreed upon the two countries. But for Niue getting in their own varieties, yes, they will get back their own varieties they needed. But if Fiji would like to use Niuean varieties, then it has to come under all the legal concept of it that comes with the ministries of the two countries to share the traditional. But otherwise, no, the traditional varieties do not go out of the CPAC unless and when it is needed by that country. Yeah.
However, the new varieties are being tested and trialed in different countries. Some of these will be trialed by the Department of Agriculture here on the island.
We're working with the sweet potato and the cassava and the yam at the moment, and what we're looking at doing, so we have the tissue culture plantlets, and we'll raise them for the next 6 months or so until they're ready to go out, and we'll distribute them to our core farmers for the trials, and then collect all the data, and then continue the further distribution of these varieties, the more successful varieties, to other farmers.
Currently, the Center for Pacific Crops and Trees have over 1,000 varieties of staple food crops from the region. The last stretch of dirt main road is getting a workover this week as public works staff start tar sealing the road in between Liku and Hakupu. Early morning starts have staff working at 6 in the morning, while the day is a bit cooler with about 10 kilometers of road to seal.
We have prepared this for quite a while now. It has come to this stage now. The last part of it is to lay the seal, and hopefully we can do it within 3 weeks. At least now we have a roller spreader. That's for the chips. So this time around we don't use manual labor. It was the hardest part in tar sealing work in the past. Unfortunately, we still do it hand spraying, labor intensive. But getting that piece of equipment is very expensive. So we still do it by hand, but with the roller spreader, bit easier this time on the workers.
Within the area where the road connects the two villages is the Huvalu Conservation Area, where some locals quite prefer the more natural look as a reminder of the real yesteryear. But for many, bringing the roads up to standard, that makes for a more enjoyable drive around the island and maybe less likelihood of punctures in the middle of nowhere due to the rough conditions and potholes. Public Works Director Dave Talangi says that it has been a long time coming and that they have just managed to get funds from government.
Funds to do it. It's been discussed in the past governments, but only this time the government has allocated some money to finish this. This I think the last piece of road to be tar sealed. So that's the aim of the government, to tar seal the whole road network. So this is the last stretch of road. Well, at this point in time, we spent just over $400,000. That's everything up to purchasing the tar, and only this time only the fuel that we need to complete the road.
The department would like the public to be aware that work is in progress and to be mindful of workers when using this stretch of road, but also to take it easy for the next 3 weeks to ensure that the road that has the newly laid tar sealing is able to set. Last Saturday, Tuapa's pre-show day events reeled in great catches for their Marine Day, with quite a few people out at sea. But it was the efforts of a small collective of canoe fishermen that was to be commended. The idea was to start a new event that would encourage more people to get out on the traditional canoe to fish, and the invitation was extended to all canoe fishermen on the island. Due to the limited resources, the competition was only open to those with canoes, a great incentive saving on fuel costs, and also as an encouragement to the younger generations to master the art of fishing from local vakas. The heaviest pelagic fish was caught by Punikapanga, which was a valu that was 31 kilos. And there were also a wide range of fish of all shapes and sizes caught by people on the day. The organizers of the event would like to thank all those who sponsored prizes and assisted towards the activity, for without them it would not have been possible. And that concludes our news bulletin for tonight.